how to speak clearly and be taken seriously. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It truly helps the channel grow and continue to create contents like this. Speaking clearly is one of those skills that changes your life in quiet ways. People don't always tell you they're taking you more seriously, but you feel it. Meetings go smoother. Conversations stop feeling like you have to fight for attention. You get fewer interruptions. People ask follow-up questions instead of glazing over. And the wild part is, you might not even be saying smarter things. You're just delivering them in a way that lands. Most people think being taken seriously is about status, age, confidence, or having the right personality. But a huge part of it is mechanics, clarity, tone, pace, the way your words hit the room. If your speech is scattered, rushed, mumbled, or overloaded, people unconsciously categorize you as uncertain, even if your ideas are great. If your speech is calm, clean, and structured, people assume competence, even before they fully understand your point. That's not fair, but it's real. Humans judge signal before content. They decide how much attention to give you, and then they decide what you mean. Speaking clearly starts with the physical side. Your voice isn't just sound, it's breath and posture. If your breathing is shallow and your shoulders are tense, your voice gets thin. You rush, you trail off, you lose power at the ends of sentences. That's one of the biggest clarity killers, weak endings. When your sentences fade out, it signals uncertainty. People can't hear you, and even if they can, they don't feel the conviction. So the first move is simple. Breathe lower. Not dramatic, just lower. One slow inhale before you speak, and a steady exhale while you talk. That steadiness creates steadiness in your voice. You stop sounding like you're sprinting. Next is posture. If you're collapsed, your voice collapses with you. You don't need military posture. You need open posture. Chest relaxed, shoulders down, neck neutral. When you open your body, your voice opens. It sounds clearer without you doing anything fancy. Now pace. People talk fast when they're nervous or when they're trying to prove value. It's like your brain is saying, if I say this quickly, they'll accept it before they question it. But speed does the opposite. Speed makes people work harder to follow you, and when people have to work harder, they disengage. The most respected speakers are usually slower than the room. Not slow like you're reading a bedtime story. Slow like you have time. That's the vibe. The moment you sound like you have time, other people feel like they have time, and they relax and listen. Then there's articulation. You don't have to sound like a news anchor. You do need clean consonants. Most mumbling happens because people don't finish words. They swallow the ends, they blur syllables, they assume the listener will fill in gaps. But listeners are not your co-author. If you make them guess, they tune out. A simple practice is exaggerating articulation when you're alone for a few minutes a day. Over-enunciate. Feel your mouth working. Then in real life, you'll land in a natural middle zone where your words are crisp without sounding robotic. Another major clarity killer is filler words. Like, you know, sort of, kind of, I mean. People use fillers for two reasons: to buy time and to soften what they say. The problem is that fillers signal uncertainty. They sound like you're not sure you deserve the floor. The fix isn't to become a silent monk. The fix is to replace fillers with pauses. A pause is powerful. A pause says you're thinking. A filler says you're nervous. Same function, totally different signal. This is one of the biggest upgrades you can make quickly. If you feel coming, stop, breathe, continue. At first, it feels awkward to you. To everyone else, it feels confident. Now let's talk about structure, because structure is what makes people take you seriously. People don't take you seriously when they can't follow you. Even brilliant ideas sound weak when they're delivered as a messy stream. A simple structure for almost anything is point, reason, example. Point, what you believe. Reason, why it's true. Example, what it looks like. That's it. If you can speak in that pattern, people will follow you easily, and clarity equals credibility. Another tool is summarizing before details. Most people give details first, then the point. That forces the listener to hold a pile of information and guess the meaning. Flip it. Start with the headline, then support it. This is how executives talk. It's not because they're smarter. It's because they respect attention. When you speak, imagine you're writing the title of a chapter first, then the paragraph. People are busy. Give them the chapter title. Tone matters too. If your tone rises at the end of sentences, you can sound unsure even when you're not. That upward inflection is common when people seek approval. The fix is finishing your sentences with a neutral or downward tone. Again, not aggressive, just complete. Completion signals certainty. Another tone mistake is apologetic language. Sorry, but this might be a dumb question. I could be wrong. Sometimes humility is appropriate, but constant pre-apologies erode your credibility. They train people to treat your words as optional. A better move is calm ownership. Here's what I'm thinking. My view is, the way I see it, you can be open without being unsure. Being taken seriously also involves presence. Presence is when you're not rushing to be liked, when you're not scanning for reactions, when you're not cutting yourself off mid-thought because someone's facial expression twitched. Presence is staying with your message. One of the hardest habits to break is self-interruption. People start a sentence, then change direction, then restart, then add a disclaimer, then add a second point, then apologize for being unclear. The more you do that, the less seriously you're taken, because it looks like you don't trust your own mind. A practical fix is finishing one thought fully before starting the next, even if it's imperfect. Finish it, then move on. Completion is authority. Now here's the subtle part. Being taken seriously doesn't mean being intense. Some people try to speak seriously by sounding stern or overly formal. That can backfire. The goal is calm conviction. Warmth plus clarity is the strongest combo. If you're clear but cold, you can get respect but not connection. If you're warm but unclear, you get connection but not credibility. You want both. Warmth in the voice comes from relaxed breathing and a steady pace. Clarity comes from structure and articulation. When you combine them, people lean in. Being taken seriously in real-world situations often comes down to how you handle pressure moments. Meetings, interviews, group discussions, disagreements. These are the environments where clarity either shows up or collapses. And the difference usually isn't intelligence, it's regulation. One of the most common problems people face is being interrupted. When someone cuts you off, it can trigger a rush of adrenaline. Your instinct might be to talk faster, raise your volume, or trail off entirely. None of those help. The strongest move is surprisingly simple. Pause, then continue. When you pause instead of reacting, you communicate that you're not threatened. When you calmly say, "Let me finish this point," or you simply resume speaking after the interruption, you reclaim the floor without aggression. People take cues from your behavior. If you act like your words matter, they often follow. Another powerful tactic is lowering your volume slightly instead of raising it. This sounds counterintuitive, but when someone speaks calmly and clearly while others are loud, attention shifts, loudness competes, calm clarity commands. Meetings are especially revealing. People who aren't taken seriously often speak in fragments. They start mid-thought. They jump between ideas. They hedge constantly. Meanwhile, people who command attention usually do three things. They wait for a clean opening. They speak in full sentences. And they stop when they're done. Stopping when you're done is huge. Rambling erodes authority faster than almost anything else. If you make your point and then keep talking to justify it, you undo the strength of the point itself. Say what you mean. Let it land. Silence afterward isn't awkward, it's punctuation. Interviews amplify this even more. Interviewers are listening, not just to what you say, but how you organize thought under pressure. Clear speakers don't rush to fill silence. They take a breath, answer directly, and pause. That pause signals confidence and self-trust. If you don't know an answer, clarity still matters. Saying, "I don't know, but here's how I would approach it," is far more credible than talking in circles. Vagueness sounds like evasion. Honesty with structure sounds like maturity. Presentations are another arena where clarity makes or breaks perception. Many people lose authority because they bury their main point under too much setup. The audience waits, wanders, and disconnects. Strong speakers lead with the takeaway, then support it. They respect the audience's attention span, A useful mental model is this. Every time you speak, you're asking for attention. Clear speakers ask politely and efficiently. Unclear speakers demand attention through volume or length. Guess which one people respond to better? Another overlooked factor is how you handle disagreement. When someone challenges you, clarity becomes even more important. Defensive language, rushed explanations, and emotional spikes weaken your position. Calm disagreement, stated clearly, strengthens it. Phrases like, "I see it differently," or "my experience has been," keep the conversation grounded. You don't need to overpower the other person. You just need to state your view cleanly and stand by it. People respect composure more than dominance. Being taken seriously also depends on consistency. If your tone, pace, and structure change wildly depending on who you're talking to, people sense instability. When your communication style stays steady across contexts, people trust you more. Predictability, in this sense, is a strength. Another thing that matters is how you respond emotionally to your own mistakes. Everyone misspeaks sometimes. Everyone loses a word or fumbles a sentence. Clear communicators don't panic when that happens. They reset and continue. That reset signals self-assurance. A small trick that helps is narrating clean transitions. Instead of saying, yeah, so, what I meant was, you can say, let me rephrase that. Simple, direct, confident. You're not apologizing for clarity. You're choosing it. One of the biggest internal shifts you can make is letting go of the need to be liked in every sentence. People-pleasing language weakens clarity. Over-softening, constant agreement, and excessive hedging dilute your message. Respect doesn't come from pleasing everyone. It comes from being clear and fair. This doesn't mean being harsh. It means being honest without cushioning every idea. When you trust your words, others are more likely to trust them too. Another powerful habit is slowing down your thinking before slowing down your speech. If your thoughts are chaotic, your speech will follow. Taking a moment to organize internally, deciding what you actually want to say, changes everything. That moment of thoughtfulness often feels long to you and invisible to others. People who speak clearly often think clearly first. They don't externalize the entire thought process. They do some of the work internally, then present the result. This is especially important in emotional conversations. When emotions run high, clarity tends to disappear. Voices tighten, sentences fragment, accusations replace explanations. If you can maintain clarity during emotional moments, you instantly elevate how you're perceived. That doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means naming it without letting it hijack your language. "I'm frustrated about this, and here's why," is far more effective than letting frustration leak through tone and pacing. Another element of being taken seriously is consistency between words and behavior. If you speak clearly but act uncertain, people feel the mismatch. If you act decisively but speak vaguely, people hesitate. Alignment matters. Clear speech paired with steady behavior creates trust. Over time, speaking clearly reshapes how you see yourself. You start trusting your thoughts more, you interrupt yourself less, you hesitate less. That internal shift feeds back into external perception. Confidence grows as a byproduct of clarity, not the other way around. One of the most liberating realizations is that you don't need to sound impressive to be taken seriously. You need to sound understandable. Simple language delivered with calm authority beats complex language delivered with tension every time. So the real goal isn't eloquence. It's respect for attention, respect for your own words, respect for the listener's time. When you speak clearly, people don't have to work to understand you. When people don't have to work, they listen. When they listen, they take you seriously. And once that pattern sets in, speaking stops feeling like a struggle. It becomes a tool, a way to move through the world with less friction and more impact, quietly, steadily, and with purpose.